Trump is once again president of the United States of America. For some people, this is the worst news possible. For others, this is the best news in the world. Today, I'm going to be giving some of my thoughts on the election as well as reacting to what other people are saying in the news. It's going to be a great show. Thank you for coming by with us. I have my coffee. It's like 4 o'clock on a Thursday right now as I'm recording this. And there's been a lot. But I want to give you a couple of thoughts first. I got a couple of texts after, the AP officially made Donald Trump president. And a couple of people asked me what my thoughts are. So I wrote just a quick little monologue down of my thoughts. And so I'm going to read through some of these things. So I might not be making much eye contact for those that are on camera. But let me know in the comments if you agree with my takes. If you think I'm wrong, please tell me no. Please tell me why and what you would say differently. But in my opinion, this was the biggest election, at least in the 2000s. But not because of one man, just because of the team of people that Donald Trump is bringing on board if he won. We already know what a Kamala Harris presidency would look like. It would look like a continued war in the Middle East. Russia and Ukraine would continue to be at war. Inflation would be continued. Even with her plan of putting price caps in place, the cost of goods would continue to soar. In a Kamala Harris presidency, identity politics would continue to grow until it chokes the life out of all joy, comedy, and common sense. In a Kamala Harris presidency, we would have a leader that would not be able to think for herself, and she would just be another puppet of the Democratic machine. You might disagree with me, and that's okay. That's the point of our discussion today. But if Kamala Harris was elected president, that's what I really believe would continue to be happening. But that did not happen. On the flip side, a Trump presidency, to me, looks a little different. In a Trump presidency, it will bring its fair share of drama and baggage. I can't help but believe the Donald Trump team is a really good place that will help America grow and just grow to a better place. In a Trump presidency, I believe that our economy will grow, just like it did in 2016 up until COVID. While I'm personally not a fan of Trump's tariffs idea, I do think that by Trump focusing on cutting government spending with the help of Elon Musk and others, with a focus on America-created energy, for example, more internal or American oil being drilled and created, I believe that we will see economic stability and growth for the average American that we have not seen in years. I believe that the influx of illegal immigrants will massively decrease, as well as the spread of woke ideology in our schools will decrease as well. Donald Trump is not perfect. In fact, his policies have problems too. No one human can fix America. In fact, we already know the downsides of a Trump presidency. We know that the left will do anything they can to oppose him, even at the expense of the American people. Antifa will burn down cities under the name of justice. Protests will break out in every major city. We're already seeing it in Chicago. And protests are fine, and it's a fundamental right of speech. I encourage people to be honest with their thoughts, but let's not make them violent or turn to burning things down. For the next 4 years, some people on the left will continue to call Donald Trump Hitler. And if you're a conservative, you will be labeled as a Nazi or a fascist. And that's okay, because some people have it so ingrained that conservatives are evil that they just can't help themselves. I'm looking at you, Joy Reid. Well, those are some of the things that are less than ideal in a Trump presidency. What gets me cautiously optimistic for our future is the team of people that Trump has surrounded himself with, more than necessarily Trump himself. People like J.D. Vance, who I believe is a God-fearing, family-oriented person. You can just tell his wife absolutely just loves him, the way she just looks at him, adores him. He has a great dog. He has a German Shepherd. I have a German Shepherd. I know. Big reasons to like someone, but I really believe that JD is a good guy. People like Elon Musk. Elon Musk bought Twitter, which is now X, fired 70% of the staff, and X is a better company and platform than Twitter ever was. And Trump has announced that Elon will be the Secretary of Cost Cutting for our United States government. That's got to get you excited. Tulsi Gabbard, that was once a Democrat, now officially moved Republican. RFK Jr., obviously you know the name of the Kennedys, being so ostracized by his party that he decided to join Trump and help with the health of Americans. Now, I'm skeptical of some of these people. I don't agree with everything that RFK Jr. says. Tulsi Gabbard is still someone that really intrigues me on what she believes. But I'm praying that God moves in miraculous ways with this group and team of people over the next 4 years. Now, I know that some people aren't as thrilled as I was to hear Trump's name called officially to be the president of the United States. I have a lot of friends that are very sad right now. But what I wanted to do next is just look and see what the media is saying about all this. I have a couple of clips curated that we're going to be going through in a second, looking at what maybe some of the meltdowns of the media responses, some of the good things the media has been saying, some of the clips of the average American. So grab some coffee. It's going to be a relaxing show, maybe a humorous show, maybe a little bit of stress and anxiety from some. Our first clip that we're going to look at is our beloved host of MSNBC, Joy Reid, gives her initial thoughts of those people who voted in Trump. Let's take a look at the clip.
In our final sprint, having arrived at that point in the election season where basically we on this side of the TV screen have said all we can. We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today, that suppresses the rights of women and minorities, uses the military to execute the whims of a strongman dictator, and controls and suppresses the press, education, the arts, rewrites history to suit a favored and dominant racial class, and foments extravagant corruption in order to enrich the dictator and his friends.
That was Joy Reid giving her thoughts on Trump supporters as the election was getting closer. That was on a recorded on November 6th. Listen, if you don't know who Joy Reid is just a classic race baiter host on MSNBC. I just think it's ironic where when Trump had the assassination attempt, back in the summer, there were so many Democrats that said, we have got to stop this hateful rhetoric. We need to unify the country. And then there on MSNBC, not only did they this time compare Trump to Hitler, but also Mussolini, also all of the other wonderful people in our history. And they wonder why there's a violence problem but it's not their fault. It's our rhetoric, apparently, that because we are the fascist ones. But that's Joy clip. That is Joy saying what so many of the left believe. The left believes that Trump is Hitler. The left believes that if you follow Donald Trump, you are a fascist. And they also believe that Donald Trump, ironically, is going to use the military and the presidential power to imprison or try to imprison his political opponents. Ironically, that sounds a lot like what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did to Donald Trump. But don't worry, they are not the fascist ones because they are doing it for justice. All right, next we have one of my all-time favorite funny meme clips. Back when Obama was president and then with the Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump election of 2016, Jimmy Kimmel will sometimes do this like mean tweet segments where he has people read these mean tweets. And he had Obama on, former President Obama on the show to read some mean tweets. And at the point, it seemed like Obama came up with a zinger against Donald Trump. Let's watch the clip and we'll react to this.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
Listen, at the time, that's a clever comeback. First of all, I mean, is that not just the most Donald Trump tweet you've ever seen? President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States. Send it. I mean, that's probably just the most Donald Trump tweet out there. And dude, quick-witted Obama. Obama's always been fast on his feet. And he said, hey, listen, at least I was a president. At the time, that seemed like a zinger. But this clip gets better.
A president.
There he is, Donald Trump in all his glory. Oh, that's a funny one. That is a funny one. Oh, all right. Let's let's go to the next one. There were others that were less than thrilled of Donald Trump winning the election, including CBS's Margaret Brennan. She talks about the average American voter. Let me share my screen and let's watch this together.
Any country I have ever covered anywhere in the world, people vote on the 3 feet in front of them and the kitchen table they sit down at every day. And the economic issues are just so fundamental, and the experience of that. And, you know, Nora, you said earlier, maybe we overfocused on grocery prices. I think, you know, Donald Trump campaigns saying he's going to lower the price of bacon. The president of the United States has nothing to do with the price of bacon.
Or eggs, for that matter.
Or eggs, or any of it. But it's promising.
Gas.
I get you're uncomfortable, even though the head of the Federal Reserve and those guys, you don't quite know what they do back in Washington, but they're making your house more expensive because they're hiking up more, you know. You don't get that. You don't get the national number where Joe Biden is telling you, look, inflation is moderating and coming down, but you understand your grocery cart or your gas tank. And that personal experience just seems to be what at least people are using to justify their vote for Donald Trump when they're citing the economy.
Basically, let me sum it up. Let me sum it up for you. You are stupid. You don't know how things work. Yeah, your eggs are really expensive. Yeah, you can't afford to put a roof over your family's head. Yeah, you can't afford to save anything. Our budgets are bleeding red like crazy. But you're stupid. You don't know how it actually works. You don't know how interest rates work. You voted because of your personal experience. But come on, voter, you know that's a really stupid reason to vote. Don't you know better than to vote what's actually happening in front of you? Obviously, the president has nothing to do with economic policies, and obviously anything that Joe Biden put in place would have no impact into our family table or cost of goods or anything like that. Obviously, the inflation had nothing to do with any of the policies that even Donald Trump or Joe Biden put into effect, because the president just can't touch that at all. When in reality, the president and their economic policies do make a difference in what goes down to the cost of goods all the way to your table. But you know what? According to MSNBC and according to CBS, you're just stupid. That's just the average attack. But I will say, at least there's a different attack than just calling me a fascist or calling us a fascist. At least they change it up. Let's keep watching some of the reactions to the American people making a decision that some people here in the media just do not like. Here is a live clip of when Rachel Maddow, also known as the female twin of Mark Cuban, I'll flash the screen up. It's a pretty funny meme. Anyway, she was forced to live call Pennsylvania for Donald Trump. The camera won't even pan back to her as she begins to break down on camera. Let's check it out.
Has a projection to make in the presidential contest in the swing state of Pennsylvania. NBC News now projects that presidential contest has been won by Donald Trump. Now, I believe that means that we are at a 266 electoral vote count for Donald Trump. Kamala Harris had 194 electoral votes. So to be clear here, this is the third of the 7 major swing states that have been called. But Georgia and North Carolina and Pennsylvania, as those 3 states, presents an almost unless there's it presents an insurmountable future here for Kamala Harris and for the Democratic ticket.
Obviously, someone was recording that and talking over that. But there you go, Rachel Maddow. Probably one of the biggest Trump haters out there and Trump supporter haters out there. And ironically funny to force her live after all the hate that she's given to Trump and Trump supporters to read that has got to be tough for her. And she couldn't even finish her sentences. Let's keep going. Currently, there are more people on the left that are saying that it is not over for Kamala Harris. This gentleman, I believe, worked on the Kamala Harris campaign. I could be wrong. I think that's what I found on Twitter. But let's listen to what this young gentleman has to say.
It is not over for Kamala. And all of you celebrating a Trump victory before the votes are even fully counted, may I remind you that a lot can change at the last minute. And even if we do fail to win the presidency for Kamala, after all the work I've done for white dudes for Kamala over the last few months.
It's also called White Dudes for Harris. So this guy didn't even get the name right, but White Dudes for Harris. Really effective, by the way.
He will return in 2028. Kamala 2028 will be the greatest political comeback the world has ever seen. Not just America, but the world. And I firmly believe that Kamala is still the best person in the whole of the United States to be the president of this country. And if we band together now, if we pull back some of those white dudes who went for Trump this time, by growing the White Dudes for Harris campaign, we can make a permanent change. We can put the MAGA crowd away once and for all. And I'm dispirited. I am dispirited by what has happened, but we can't just give up. We can't just stop now. It's so close. It was so close. There's just so much hate in this country. So much hate and misinformation from Elon. And we've got to fight back. We've got to fight back. Kamala 2028. We're coming back.
Give this man a Grammy. Wow, that was not expecting the cry there at the end, the fake cry. I don't know. I don't really know how to react to that outside of Kamala was the worst candidate that the country has ever seen. And I can guarantee you Kamala will not be the Democratic nominee in 2028. But please, I'd love for her to be the Democratic nominee once more. That would be the best case scenario for people and for the sake of America. But yeah, that is someone from the Harris campaign. Really, at least, you can say that they believe in the person they're representing. And there's something to be said for that. All right, we're going to look at the next clip. This is a clip of a news anchor talking about the importance of Turning Point and Charlie Kirk made in this election. Let's roll the clip.
Go ahead. I spoke to one young man who actually told me he was on the fence, but it was Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA who have been in and around this campus sharing the message of Donald Trump that ultimately pushed him over. And he said it's one of the reasons we're seeing all those Make America Great Again hats on campus, because they brought them and distributed them to the students here. Katie?
I mean, listen, this is one of the differences between the left. Others on MSNBC and CBS saying you are stupid, you don't know how economics works. Where Charlie Kirk and Turning Point says, hey, we're going to make a difference in college students and we're going to educate them. We're going to have conversations with them. If you haven't, we're probably going to later in future shows react to some of the Charlie Kirk conversations he has with students. I really believe that Charlie's heart and the reason why he does those debates are in the right place, because what Charlie Kirk, for those that don't know, he'll set up a booth in college campuses and he'll have debates with students. The students will come up, call him all sorts of names, and he's generally very patient with them and helping them think through things logically. And the left views that as a waste of time or hate speech. And really what it is the education for students that wouldn't hear these ideas outside because it's not being taught in their schools. In fact, I'm going to be going in a couple months to a Turning Point event called AmFest. So if you currently are not following me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you're going to want to make sure you're doing that, because that is where all of the updates for that trip. We're going to be represented on Media Row and interviewing some of the top conservatives in the world at this event. Probably going to be able to talk to Charlie too, which will be an absolute blast. So you're going to want to make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon in England. But let's keep going with a couple more clips. Now, some people have been poking some holes in the Democratic strategy, the Democrats and their strategy to campaign Kamala Harris. Someone commented on this clip, I just can't believe this didn't win it for them. Let's roll the clip. Yeah,
52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and bye-bye, Donald Trump.
you can always just see it in the eyes. For those listening, it's just the wide eyes, crazy shaking eyes, but we're turning the page. Goodbye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. You know, there were so many interesting moments and choices that the Harris campaign used. And, you know, in fact, even using people that couldn't even speak and needed a teleprompter to speak. And there's a lot of interesting choices for their speakers. Even Waltz was an interesting choice for Harris as a VP. But they wonder, but no. It's they didn't win because because of fascism, not because they maybe ran a terrible campaign. All right. Now listen, there are other common, like more just people that have not taken this election very well. A lot of people say that there's a mental health crisis going on in our country right now. I agree there is. No one is exercising. Everyone's on their phones, scrolling through TikToks, going brain dead. So yeah, there is 100% a mental epidemic. And here's a poor soul that just could not handle Trump being reelected. Let's roll the clip.
This is not okay. This is not okay. This simply will not do. And this is not okay. And I'm not good with this. This is sick. This is sick. That should not be there. And it's wrong. And you're wrong. And everything is wrong. And this house is not even my house. You just bought it for me and I don't want it.
Yeah, it's easy to make fun of people like that. And I really don't, there's some things that people say that are stupid that I'm more than happy to make fun of. But when I see that, I'm more actually just pulled in my soul to just pray for that individual. I mean, to have TDS or Trump derangement syndrome to the point where you are so angry, screaming that life is unfair, it basically just shows that all of your priorities that Kamala Harris or that the left is going, or the government, the big government is just always looking out for you, and you need the government on your side to be happy. And that's a lie that so many people believe. It's a lie that's just killing people. Not even Donald Trump is going to save everything. Conservatives and Christians especially understand that God's the one in control. And no matter what happens, God is the one that's in control. And it doesn't matter who gets elected. I actually said this on the live stream during the election reaction that we did. I said, you know what, if Kamala wins this, it's going to be really sad. I'm going to be frustrated. But at the end of the day, I can go to bed knowing that God is the final authority over all the kings. The Old Testament says that God has his way in the hearts of kings and moves their hearts like rivers move of water. And so there's safety in the belief that God is in control. And some people just don't have that. So, man, that is a very visceral reaction. And I hope this person finds peace. And I just know what they're going through, and now they're not going to find it there. In a little bit more lighthearted of a clip, here is a clip. And someone said, Trump walking back into the White House on January 20th, 2025. Let's roll the clip. Here again, everyone. Thank you. I'm just kidding. Something like that. Oh, that's awesome. Trump's like, I'm here. Roll the red carpet. Trump is back. We are back for another. Oh, that's awesome. All right. We have one last clip to show for today's show. This was the top 5 election meltdowns from The View. Sarah Haynes calls for more social media regulation. Let's roll the clip and we'll react to it.
Think critically. Well, it would help if we could regulate social media, because one of the biggest offenders is DC and Congress have not been able to do one thing in regard to the rogue corporations of social media.
Not going to get any better with Elon Musk now in the administration.
So the one thing I don't understand is that's not true. The Twitter files proved that the government, the FBI, is involved in social media companies. You can't post anything borderline right on Facebook without threat of getting taken down. What they're actually saying is there is currently one social platform that is not being regulated, and it is Elon Musk's X. That is the one platform that has complete free speech right now, and they hate it. Why do they hate it? You might ask yourself, well, in my opinion, they hate it because you can't control it. It's not what you want to hear. On Facebook and Instagram, you like it because you could say the most leftist things like tomorrow, whatever. But if you say something borderline right, you could be taken down for that. I have friends that say things normal that we'd say in normal conversation that get taken down on Facebook, but when they can't control it, they hate it. And that is obviously, The View is a very leftist panel. But that's what they want. They want more. They want more regulation. Here we go. This is Sunny Hostin saying that Trump will have unfettered power. Let's roll the clip.
I'm profoundly disturbed. I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was America makes a perilous choice. I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power. And so I worry not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have. And I remember my father telling me many, many years ago that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that.
So just some understanding, Sunny is saying that she said that her daughter has less rights than she has. And by rights, I'm assuming she's not talking about the right to vote, because women have the right to vote. By rights, I'm not assuming that women working, like having the right to work in the workplace and move up, because they do. And you see that with having a woman vice president, women are doing very well. And you even see things like the WNBA absolutely excelling right now. So she can't be talking about that. The only thing that she must be talking about is the woman's right to kill their baby. What she just said is, my daughter does not have the right to kill my granddaughter. And that should be something that we should be sad about. How messed up do you have to be sad about the fact that you are just mad that your daughter can't kill your granddaughter? And what's crazy is Donald Trump put it to the states. He reversed Roe v. Wade and he put it to the states. Abortions are still legal in many, many, many states. In fact, even in Ohio, which has something called like the heartbeat bill, early term abortions are still legal, but not late term, because even if we're not going to do it, we want the right to do a late term abortion, says people like Sunny. And I'm mad my daughter can't do that. That's something that I just don't understand. We can disagree about so many things, but to disagree and just lie and say that women don't have the same rights. Women have all the same rights as men, except for, you know what? A man can't go down the street and shoot someone. Why? Because that's called murder. Just like a woman should not be able to kill their child. And we can talk about the semantics of everything and the details of abortion, but what she's talking about is the fact that a lot of late-term abortions are not allowed, and she wishes her kid had that right to do that. And it's sickening, and it's sad. All right, Anna, here we go. Reacting to, let's go skip through this. The View we're going to react to. This is Sunny Hostin blames uneducated white women for Trump's win. Let's watch the clip.
I want to dig further into the demographics, because Black women tried to save this country. Again, last night, 92% of Black women voted for the vice president. You have Latinas in the 70 percentile voting for the vice president. What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and Black men was not the story. We're not the story here, because they voted almost 80% for the vice president. Right. So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms? And why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
We have to look at the demographics of it.
You know, consistently looking at the demographics, as she said, we have to look at why? So what Sunny is saying is that if you are a certain color or you're a certain gender, you need to vote a certain way. If you're white and a woman, you are not allowed to be a conservative. If you're Black and a woman, God forbid you vote for Donald Trump because you're Black. You have to vote Democrat or you're not really black, or that's at least what Obama said. These people just keep going with their race baiting. And it hasn't worked for them. And I said this in the monologue, they just can't help it. They've been race baiters and they can't help but be race baiters. The View is just one of the funniest things. I don't even know really how The View still has a platform. Oh man, it is just wild to me that you lose so many people by calling them stupid. So you just continue to call them stupid and think it's going to work out for you. Maybe it's actually not a lack of education. Maybe it's something to where people actually have woken up and seen that the Democratic Party, as much as they promise change, there's not been change as much as they would like, and they want something different. I just don't understand why we always need to bring race. Maybe you can tell me in the comments, why do we always need to bring race into voting? Or is that something that should just not be talked about? You let me know in the comments what you think. All right, we're going to move on to the next segment as we wrap this show up. In the future, we're going to have a mailbag segment where people can write into the show, ask me questions, Q&A. If you are not on Discord or Twitter, you're going to want to make sure you join Discord, make sure you join our Twitter, because that's where we can do a lot of the Q&A mailbag things as well. Also, coming up, we will be having occasional some guest segments or me reviewing the podcast. I actually have a podcast that when I'm not doing the Dill in England show or doing this live show, we will be either giving you segments of guests. I just interviewed a guy called Hi-Rez the Rapper. We've had people like Brandon Tatum, Joel Bayer from the Babylon Bee on the show. We have Spencer Clavin coming up and some other people. You're going to want to subscribe to the show, because we sometimes will just do full conversations when I'm not doing the weekly show. It's going to be awesome. So occasionally during the segment, we're going to be in the future, maybe giving you a little clips and taste of the podcast. This is a perfect opportunity for me to shout out our sponsor, Cool Beans Coffee Brewery, and this is the Broadcast Brew Blend. This is some of the best coffee you're ever going to drink. Taylor Hollis, who's the owner of Cool Beans Coffee Brewery, and I came together and we made a low-acid coffee blend because I was unable to drink coffee due to high acid reflux. So due to my acid reflux problem, I stopped drinking coffee for 3 months, and little do you know that it was the acid in coffee that was causing a lot of my stomach issues. So we created this blend. It is 50% Guatemalan, 50% Ethiopian. It's one of the best coffees you can buy. So go on in the link and get yourself a bag. Every bag that you buy of the Broadcast Brew not only supports a local business in Michigan, but also supports me and the show that I can keep doing these types of shows. So please take a moment, get yourself a bag of Cool Beans coffee and the Broadcast Brew low acid blend. You won't regret it. And let me know if you order a bag, let me know so I can get some feedback. All right, here's some final thoughts to today's show. Again, I would like to thank you. Couple of final thoughts. Thank you for swinging by. This is the first time me trying to really do something like this. If you enjoyed this show, would you please let me know? If there's anything specific that you'd enjoy me to do or react to or something, please let me know. The goal for this show is really just going to be a once-in-a-week show, kind of giving you guys my take on a lot of the current events that are happening. It was a very big election week, and so obviously that was the majority of content, but I want to react to what's out there. I want to learn with you. I want to learn and see what's going on in this world, and it is a crazy world, and I want to just kind of give some takes and give you some current events in a 40 to 45-minute show that you could take and do what you will with. I will think this is my big takeaway for the election. I am grateful that Donald Trump won. I know some of my friends will not be happy when I say that. I completely understand the concern of a Donald Trump presidency, given the way that he did react during COVID. I'm not a fan of the way that he acted in some of his presidency in the first term. I don't love how Donald Trump sometimes gets on the defensive, even though probably rightfully so with the amount of hate that he receives from the left. I don't love how he picked a lot of fights with governors back during COVID. I don't love the checks that he sent out, and actually it was his policies that caused some of the inflation that we have now. But I do think that Donald Trump loves America. I do think that Donald Trump has not been bought out by the machine. I do think that Donald Trump has a really strong team of people around him. And I do really believe that Donald Trump is currently the best person to lead us through the next 4 years. Let me challenge you with this. Even if you're not a Donald Trump fan, even if you're a Democrat watching this, I would encourage you to do the same thing that I encourage people during the Biden administration, and that would be to pray for our president, pray for our leaders. Even if you disagree or even if you agree, I would encourage you to beseech God, Ask him for grace for our leaders, because even if it's not the political party that you want, it's still the political party in charge that we have. And no matter what happens, their decisions will impact your life. And so even if you do not like the person in charge, I would encourage you to pray for them, that God would use them and God would allow them and these people to be the best leaders that they can be for our country, for us, and for our children. Thank you for coming to the first official show of just me hanging out with you guys. If you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next episode of The Dill in England Show.